Hello and welcome to Grow4Ways with Mackie. We're going to give a second to let everybody get into the webinar and then I'll start. While people are funneling in, I'll just let you know I'm Sarah Grace Moore, Chief Operating Officer here at Mackie, and it is my pleasure to do all of our webinars and workshops to train all those small business owners out there and their teams. I am proof that nepotism works in the sense that I'm the boss's daughter. So I like to say that I've worked here since I had fine motor skills, stuffing envelopes and filing. Oh my gosh, the filing. So I think that I have a unique lens into what it takes to be an entrepreneur, and I'm really happy to be here with you today. Who may show up on the call too, they may pop their heads in, are Adam Reynolds and Robert Lamoth, two of our small business coaches here at Mackie. And I want to introduce them, even though they're not here, just to make sure that when they do, you'll know who they are. So we have a really simple agenda today. We have one goal for you, and that is that you walk away with one good idea to move your business forward in the coming year. The agenda is simple. We're going to talk about how Grow4Ways fits into the Mackie model. We're going to do a deep dive into each of the 4 ways. I'm going to assign homework because if you don't actually do anything with this, there's no point in spending these 45 minutes with me. And then we're going to understand the why. Why is it important to do this work? And then the one rule for this meeting and for really this whole process, this whole Grow4Ways process, is that there are no bad ideas. So that's, just remember that, no bad ideas. And we're going to move on. Okay, so Mackie, our Prosper for Business process, our coaching process, is built on what we call the prosperity ladder, and it's similar to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? And you can't level up until you have the first thing at the base taken care of. And so we believe that data is essential to a small business. You have to have the right data because data tells you where you are, and you can't get where you're going unless you know where you are. Next, we have to work on cash flow because there is nothing scarier than worrying that you can't pay a large vendor, you can't pay an employee, you can't pay yourself, something like that. So we want to really make sure that our small business owners that we work with feel confident in their cash flow and that their cash needs are being met. Once you feel confident in your cash flow, you can move up to profit. And notice this doesn't say revenue. It says profit, because at the end of the day, it's about the money that you can reinvest in your business, invest in yourself, invest in your employees. That really is the important part. And then we'll move to owner lifestyle, because it doesn't matter how much money you have. If you're not living the life you want, is it really worth it? And finally, legacy. Every small business owner we've ever met has some kind of legacy they want to leave behind, whether it's to leave a business to their second generation, whether it's to change the world in some way. Everybody's got something, some piece of legacy they want to leave behind. And so Grow4Ways really fits in our profit piece of the ladder, because as we go through this, you'll realize that this also is not focused on top line growth. This is focused on bottom line profit growth. And in our, the way we support this prosperity ladder in our work with Prosper for Business clients is we have an annual planning and development calendar. And it really kicks off with Grow4Ways, because Grow4Ways is one, fun. It's not too painful. It's the place where all the energy and creativity start. And then we kind of work through going from these broad ideas into what will it really take to move them forward and grow your business. And that's what we're doing today, talking through what the Grow4Ways model is. So if you think it is deceptively simple to say there are only 4 ways to grow your business, you're not wrong, right? The problem is that there are an infinite number of ways to grow your business. And that's the problem. I've never met a business owner who had no idea how to grow their business and move it forward, but I have met lots of business owners who are literally paralyzed by the opportunities that lay before them and not feeling confident in which way to start moving towards the future that they want. And so that's what this is. This is the Grow4Ways system, is really just a sorting and filtering tool. It's a way to get your head around all of your ideas and put them in these broad buckets. And then we'll give you a tool at the end on how to filter them into what's going to be the most impactful to your business. So simply put, the 4 ways to grow your business are to increase your customer base, increase the purchase frequency, increase your revenue per visit, or increase your efficiency. And we're going to take a deep dive into each one of these ways to show how powerful each one is on their own. So I like to have a fun fact for almost all of our 4 ways. And my fun fact for growing your customer base is, while this is the first place most of our minds go in terms of growing our business, it's actually the most costly. So it is 5 times more costly to bring on a new prospect than to retain a current client. And so it is where our mind goes, but it can't be our only strategy. However, because most entrepreneurs I know are idea people and they like new and shiny, this is where we start to get the juices flowing. So we're just talking about adding new customers or clients here. And there are 3 big buckets of ways that you can add to your customer base. The first is social proof. So examples here, case studies and testimonials. If you are in an industry that is complicated, like financial coaching, like being an auto repair mechanic, like being a lawyer, like being anything that people don't really understand what they're buying. They're really just buying the peace of mind knowing that they've got the right trusted advisor. Case studies and testimonials are going to be key to growing your business. This is why Google reviews and Yelp and Houzz and Angie's List and all of these places and LinkedIn, right, where we write recommendations for each other, that's why these things exist. Social proof is critical to growing your customer base, because the best way to get new customers is to create really happy current customers. So social proof, number 1. And actually, I have a really great example of that I got yesterday. So we used Big Blue Moving yesterday to move a couple pieces of furniture from my parents' house to my house. And they have this crazy way of getting more social proof where at the end of the session or the end of the move, they give you your receipt, and on the receipt is every place that they want reviews. And then the team that just did the move tells you, if you go review us here and here and here, we will get $10 on our paycheck this week. If you review us here, here, and here, we'll get a total of $35 on our paycheck this week. And then even better is they say, the more you review and the better your reviews, those points come to us. And at the end of the month, the team with the most points gets $2 extra per hour the next month. And I was like, wow, that's pretty amazing. That's really a great way to create more social proof, because you're making it personal. But then what really got me, which is really going to make me go and write reviews, because I had a great team, is they said the team with the lowest scores gets $2 deducted from their next month's pay per hour, so it makes it really personal, and it makes it a great incentive, because if your team's done a good job for you, you want to make sure that they're getting the $2, but they're at least not losing $2, right? So I thought that was just a brilliant way to really increase the social proof for Big Blue Moving. Next is community building, right? So especially in this age of social distancing and quarantining and feeling really isolated, community has become really important. And what makes this a strategy to really look at right now is that it's the simplest one, because you can't be having events, you can't be having pop-ups, you can't be having any of these things in person. So you can really focus on your digital strategy for growing your community. So Facebook groups, right? I mean, I am in a running group. I am in a mom group. I'm in a small business owner group. I'm in all of these groups on Facebook because they make me feel less alone. I can go there for resources. It's great to just be in a community of like-minded people. And any business can create a community. And what I would say is, you don't have to create the community around what you do. You could create a book club, right? So say you have, say you're a electrician who works on historic homes. Well, maybe you found that a lot of your clients love historic fiction. Start a book club, book of the month. We're reading this book this month. And you can talk about the historic buildings within it. You can make your community bigger than what you do. You can make it about the like-mindedness of your customers and your clients. You could do a mastermind, right? If you work with, say we have somebody who works with internal marketing people, and they have masterminds a couple times a year to really help their clients peer solve big problems that are happening in their industry. And we did it at Mackie as well. When the pandemic first started, we hosted some community chats, right? Of just like, what are you doing? Or what are your big fears around the pandemic? How have you pivoted? How are you becoming nimble in this environment? Because it's so helpful to have a community of people who understand what you're going through. So community building is key. And lastly, look upstream, right? So the three big things in looking upstream are centers of influence. So are there big stars in your universe that you can connect with, and they can, broaden your reach? Referrals, right? Do you have great referral partners? And that could be individuals like centers of influence, but that could also be referral complementary services, right? So we're a professional service, but we focus on financial coaching. Well, when somebody comes up on needing a legal entity created, we're not going to do that. We're going to refer them out to a lawyer, right? And it's going to be a lawyer that we believe in and trust. So what are those referral relationships that you can have with complementary businesses as well? And then lastly, where are all of your clients congregating? So example, this is going back to this electrician. We're the prior example, it was individuals they were selling to, but what if they were a commercial contractor, right? Well, you're going to want to go to the ABC, and you're going to want to go to the Greater Cincinnati Construction Association, like go to those trades associations where you can get to know those general contractors that'll be working with you. Or say you like the Gehring Center here in Cincinnati, family and private businesses. If you serve family and private businesses, you want to be there, and not be there to annoy the ever-loving crud out of people, but to really create connections and relationships and see if you can add value to each other and have it be a win-win. So look upstream to centers of influences, referral partners, and organizations. So chambers, trade associations, and maybe even accelerators, right? So the second way to grow your business would be to increase the frequency of purchase by current customers, which is basically simply have your customers buy more often. Pretty simple. And this is powerful because you are 3 times more likely to sell to a current client than a new prospect. So that means that all of that trust you've built by already bringing that client on is you get a 3 times return on that trust, which is pretty amazing. So again, example strategies. There are 3 big buckets. 1, offer a loyalty program. Subway was great at this years ago with their Subway card, where you had as like 12 subs and you got the 13th free. Most coffee houses have this. Now even like Square and some of the credit card processors have them for people to just add on. So it's a digital subscription. They just get plunked into your email. So offer a loyalty program. Pretty simple. Bam Fam and Gimmies. I think Bam Fam and really, Sarah. Bam Fam and Gimmies, excuse me, there we go, are probably the most powerful tool you have in your arsenal we go to increasing the frequency of purchase. So Bam Fam means book a meeting from a meeting. And the people who are the best at this are hair salons, right? So when you check out from your haircut, you are asked if you want to book your next appointment. And pretty much, unless your appointment went over drastically, you're going to make that appointment, because they know that if you don't book that meeting, your routine's going to slip, right? You may go from 4-week cut to a 5-week cut, or maybe with a pandemic, maybe a 4-week cut to a 9-month cut, right? So they are great at book a meeting from a meeting. So this is something that almost every business can take a hold of. And this can be as simple as, if you only sell to somebody once or twice every couple years, it can be, hey, the warranty is going to expire. I'm going to check up with you on this date. And maybe they don't put it in their calendar, but you do, and you connect with them, and they're blown away by the fact that you remembered 18 months down the line, right? And then gimmies. So gimmies, the best example I have for gimmies is free rotation for life from tire discounters. Okay. So I had to go in and get my tires replaced, and I'm checking out, and he was like, we offer free rotation for life. So anytime you come in, anytime you need your tires rotated, we'll do it for free. And that's a value add to me, right? Because as they've educated us, rotating your tires means that they last longer. So value add for me. Well, guess what? When I come in for that free rotation, they're probably going to find that my windshield wipers need to be replaced, or my brake pads are getting worn, or my air filter needs replaced. So they're going to find another thing that I need that they can sell me. So it's a value add to me, but it's also an opportunity for them to sell me again. And it's brilliant, right? I'm not annoyed. I'm getting value, and they're getting another chance up at bat. Professional service firms, I've heard people do listening sessions, right? So any IT firms out there, I think that it is like a universal truth that nobody is truly in love with their outsourced IT provider, right? Why don't you host some listening sessions to really understand what people's frustrations are with their IT providers? That could be your clients, that could be people on your prospect list. People love to tell you what's wrong with their services, and so that's something that's cathartic for them. They feel heard. And then you get all of this great research and data, right, for how to improve your services or potentially create new ones, which would be excellent, right? And then create community and connectivity. So we talked about community in the first piece. And really, again, there's no better way to get new clients, but there's no better way to increase your frequency of current clients than to create community for them. Because you're going to stay more top of mind for them. And you're creating a whole sales force out of your clients if you're creating community, and out of your just people who are raving fans. And then connectivity, right? If you have MailChimp or something like that, and it's tied into your CRM system, maybe you can very easily set up an automation, right? So if you know a client's supposed to come in once a month or once a year and they don't, ping them, right? Ping, hey, we haven't seen you in a while. Just check it in, right? HVAC companies are great at this, right? So if you have a service contract, it expires, they're going to ding you and say, hey, your service agreement expired. Let's get us in and tune up that HVAC system for you. So there are lots and lots of ways to increase the frequency of purchase. And I do want to do some quick math for you as to why this is really important. So say you take a $50 purchase and you move that purchase from an every 6-week purchase to an every 5-week purchase. So that doesn't sound like much, but you're moving your annual sales to that client from $430 to $520. And again, doesn't sound like much, but that's a 20% increase on your sales to that client. And say you can move 50 or 100 clients from 6 weeks to 5 weeks. That's 20% increase to all those clients with virtually no extra spend. I mean, none of these strategies we talked about cost anything outside of your time or your team's time for the most part. So again, really effective strategy. Of course, my dog's gonna bark. Sorry, guys. We're living in 2020. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, I think I was wrapped up on that. I apologize, but I don't think we've lost anything with the dog barking. So the next strategy that we've got here, and I'm checking my time. Great, we've got plenty of time. The next strategy here is to increase revenue per existing customer visit, which is a lot of words. And it basically just means have your customers pay more, right? And there are, oh, wait, I have a fun fact for this. I do. Existing customers, this is pretty powerful. Existing customers are 50% more likely to try new products and services from you, and they will spend 31% more than new customers, which is like, again, it goes back to that trust. It goes back to if you do a good job the first time, it's going to pay intense dividends for years to come. So some example strategies of increasing your revenue per visit. First, market your services to current clients. So we have learned this the hard way here at Mackie, right? As you grow and develop, you create new product lines, new services, you morph, and you assume because you're in your business every day and you're like thinking about it all the time that your customers know the same thing. And you think, you know what? When and if they need this, they'll call me. I don't want to bug them. But I will tell you, they don't know what you do. And I've had vendors that I've said, well, I'm changing from you because I need something else. And this new vendor provides it. And they're like, oh, but we do that. I'm like, well, if you didn't tell me, how would I know? Right. So easiest thing to do is make sure that you are marketing your services, all of your services and products to your current clients. And it doesn't have to be pushy, but it is, if you have happy clients, they're probably your biggest cheerleaders. So if they don't have a need for your service or product, they may forward that email or that text or that tweet to somebody that may need it, that they know in their circle. So really simple to market yourself. And there's a sub piece to this, which is a convenience add-on. So, what is it in your business that you could do that would just be convenient for your current customers? And so I will say that one of the things we offer that's just a convenience add-on is tax preparation and planning. It's not the core of what we do, but it would be really annoying for our clients who are deeply connected with us on their financial coaching to go and find an outsourced tax provider, right? So we brought that in-house. It increases our revenue per visit, but it also is very helpful for them. They've got a one-stop shop, right? So what is that? What is that just that pivot service, that niche over service or product that you can offer? Salons, again, are really great at this. You get your hair done, maybe you get a facial, something like that. Well, they may just add, you can add product on, right? Well, we use this shampoo. Would you like to take it home? So you have glowing hair at home as well, right? Next, think like Amazon. The reason Amazon is so big is that they make it so easy for you to buy from them. So they have this thing called One Click. And literally, if you turn this on and you're a Prime member, it just takes one click and whatever you just thought of is delivered to your door in 2 days. So think about that. This is almost frictionless purchase. I have the Amazon app on my phone. I have a thought. I need dog food. I go to Amazon, I type in dog food, and typically if I've already ordered that dog food, it's going to be on my home screen. And if I've got one click on, boom, I literally just push the yellow button, and in 2 days, it is at my doorstep. That is frictionless. That is the easiest sale I sold myself, right? I had a thought. I didn't have to put in pay information. I didn't have to jump through any hoops. Granted, I do not have the one click on my Amazon. It would be too dangerous for me. But that is brilliant, right? It's brilliant. It's so really when you're think like Amazon, decrease friction. Do you make it hard for people to buy from you? So, and this could be as simple as map out your sales process. Get Post-its out and put them on the wall, or if you've got a whiteboard, whiteboard it out. And just there are probably places where you're like, man, this is really ineffective. This is a barrier to our sale, because the longer your sales cycle is, the less likely you are to close. That's why friction is really, really important to minimize. So think like Amazon. And maybe the most important in this bucket is increase pricing strategically. And there is a woman, Casey Brown. She is a brilliant pricing strategist. And she has 3 big buckets that I like to steal. Sorry, Casey. But when she talks about pricing, she talks about how it's a scalpel, not a lawnmower, hence the strategically, right? So we're not doing large changes to our pricing. You are being very exacting in increasing your pricing. To go along with that, she talks about how the riches are in the niches, right? So that means niching down your ideal client, But that could also be where what services are on the periphery. Where are those niches in your product atmosphere or ecosphere that you can really notch up the pricing? Because the third piece is, what you like to say is, you're looking for hot sauce, not gasoline. And what that means is, everybody knows, maybe not in the pandemic since we're all working from home, but most people are aware of the price of gasoline because they're using it frequently and they need to purchase a lot of it, especially if they've got long commutes, right? So any large jumps in gasoline are going to be very noticeable. However, hot sauce, unless you are a hot sauce connoisseur who uses it on everything, you're maybe purchasing once a year, every 6 months, every 2 years, I don't know. So you buying that hot sauce, you're not going to notice whether it's 99 cents or $3.99, right? Because it's not in your consciousness that often. So it's not a big deal. So that's what you're looking for. You're using your scalpel in your niches to find the hot sauce, right? And the reason this is so important is because pricing creates a pulley effect in your business. And to change your mindset on pricing, this is what I want to say to you, because I've never been a business owner who feels confident that they're charging what they should. I also have never met a business owner who feels comfortable raising their prices. Pricing should be equitable between buyer and seller, because if you are not taking care of yourself, if you're not putting your mask on first, you are doing a disservice to your clients, because you are not making the profit that you need to reinvest in your business, invest in your time and health and energy, and invest in your team. So you're creating a downward spiral by discounting yourself for long periods of time. And so this pulley effect, if you have a 10% net income rate or percentage, if you just did a 10% change on your top line, that could have 100% impact to your bottom line. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to pull up the whiteboard, and I'm going to whiteboard this out in the most simple P&L that you've ever seen. So hold on one second. Okay, here we go. Let's get my notes together. Okay. Simplest P&L ever. You've got revenue, you've got expense, and you subtract expense from revenue, and you've got profit. Obviously, this demonstration is going really well. So to keep this really simple to do, because I'm not an accountant, I like to use very round numbers. So we're going to say the top line is $100 in revenue, meaning you have sold $100 worth of your product or service. And your expenses, we're going to say it takes you $90 to service that revenue, meaning it takes you $90 in salaries, overhead, time, material, all of that good stuff to provide that $100 value to your client or customer, which means that in the end of the day, you're left with $10. It's not $0, but does that really, with knowing how hard it is to be an entrepreneur, knowing how hard you work, does that feel like a great return on your investment? Maybe it does. I don't know. But I think most people would say it doesn't feel great. So, okay, we're terrified of increasing our pricing, but we can do 1%. We can do 1%. Okay. So plus 1% on top, that is only $101. Nobody, again, going to hot sauce, probably nobody's going to even recognize that. It still only takes you $90 to service that revenue. But at the end of the day, you're left with $11 in your pocket, which is 10% increase in your bottom line. Feels a little better. So, okay, we've done the 1%. Nobody noticed. Everybody was, fine. And we're like, okay, let's just do a 10%. Let's just do it. So now you're doing $110. So that's 10% increase. Still only takes you 90, but you were at $20 net income or in profit. So that's 100% increase. That starts to feel more like the return on investment that you deserve. that starts to feel more equitable. That starts to feel more prosperous. And that's why pricing is so critical when you're talking about the ways to grow your business. Okay. I think I've finally been on my high horse long enough around pricing. I'm going to step down now and we'll move on to our last bucket. And again, I'm going to check my time. Great. Okay. Let's go back to our PowerPoint. Okay. So the last way to grow your business is to make existing processes more efficient. And so this is make the most of your spending. This doesn't say spend the least, because it's a universal truth that you cannot cut your way to growth, which is not something you're going to do. This is all about efficiency. So some example strategies, and these are kind of, again, pretty big buckets. Maintain value while optimizing expense. And what I like to say is these are hams. So look for the hams in your business. This is friction in your business. And the ham story, it's kind of like an old wives' tale, but I'm going to tell the story as if it's my family. So my mom's in the kitchen. She's going to put a ham on for dinner, and she cuts the ham in half, puts it on 2 trays, and puts it in the oven. And my dad looks at her and says, you know, I've watched you do this for years. I'm just wondering, why do you split your hams in half? And my mom says, well, that's the way my mom did it. And so that's how I do it. But then, you know, they both got curious, like, I wonder, does it taste better? Is it more tender? Like, what's going on? So then they call my grandmother and they say, hey, why did you split your hams in half? And she said, well, that's how my mother did it. And they're like, oh, okay. So then they all got curious. And so they called my great grandmother and they said, hey, we're really curious now, after all of these years of doing it this way, why'd you cut your hams in half to cook them? And she said, well, because I didn't have a pan big enough. So 2 more generations of women have been cutting their hams in half unnecessarily because of a limitation that didn't exist for them. And so that's hams. I don't care if you've only been in business 6 months. I guarantee your business has changed to the point where you have some hams in your business. So the way we go about thinking through this bucket, and specifically this optimizing expense, is, again, write out that major process. And I guarantee you'll find places where things are duplicative. So those are hams, where you're doing things multiple times. Say you have a bunch of disparate systems. Are you putting client information in like 5 different systems? If you do, find a way to make all those talk. That is way unnecessary and a huge way to create errors, right? So anything that's duplicative, anything that is just clunky, right? It doesn't work well. People forget steps. Maybe it's too complicated. That causes friction. So anything that causes friction, think about the ways that you can decrease that friction. And you're not going to have a frictionless process. We're not perfect, right? There's even Fortune 500s, giant global corporations are not frictionless. Nobody is perfect. There's always that, but we need to stay on top of how our business is changing and make sure that we're not using old systems for new ways of working. They need to be in line. Again, use automation, right? So is there something that your team is doing over and over and over again, and they are just, their eyes glaze over, it's like second nature to them? That's a place for automation, right? So are there places where you can automate in your business? And then, just in time purchasing. Do you need materials that are going to either date quickly in terms of tech or expire? Do some analysis to make sure that you aren't letting that stuff go to waste, that you're buying when you need to buy. Team training and compensation. So what I like to say about training is we like to talk about training as in training and education, all as one lump thing. And I like to say that it's team learning, because training and education are different. So think about training and education this way. So training is on your horizontal axis, and training helps decrease variation. So if you have lots of people doing things their own way, and you want to minimize that, that's what training is for. So you put training in place so that you are having less variation in your systems, in your structure, in your product, in your service. It's the Mackie way of doing things. It's the Zappos way of doing things. It's the whatever. So that's what training is for. Training is to create to make sure that your workforce knows the way, it's what is expected of them, and is given the tools to replicate seemingly pretty similar experiences and outcomes. Education on the vertical, that's to create autonomy. So if you are struggling with micromanaging every little thing, chances are you need to educate your team. They need to either understand more in depth your culture and your why, and have and in their brain be understanding like what the end goal is. They may need more training on the tools that they use, or not training, education on the tools they use. They may need more education on theories, right? We're a highly technical company in terms of we provide all these financial services. We have to educate our team a lot, because there's always new ways of thinking, new ways of doing. There's always, and the environment's ever changing. So we really focus on education to create more autonomy, so that it's not just this person who's the knowledge holder and all of these spokes off of them. People can work a little more autonomously and really own their space. So that's a thing to think about. Training versus education. What do you need? Do you need to create more autonomy, or do you need to decrease variation? And then compensation. So just like pricing needed to be fair and equitable, compensation does too. And I will say that small business owners, 99.9% care deeply for their team. And oftentimes that means that they are compensating them inappropriately, because they're, again, not putting the business's metaphorical face mask on first, and taking care of the business and making sure it's healthy. So you may need to look at your compensation models. And then lastly, do you have a business by design or a business by default? So at some point during startup phase, you start creating a business by default, because somebody comes to you and says, hey, I know you said you didn't say you did this, but it seems like this might fit for you. And because you need to pay your rent or buy groceries or whatever, you say, yep, I'll figure that out. And so then you have this new product offering or this service offering. And so we kind of get to a point where we have all these defaults. And so our business is a little cluttered and maybe not as designed as it could be. So we're always going to have businesses by default at some point, because again, we're living in an imperfect world and we're imperfect people. But the more we can create a business by design, that creates an up spiral in energy and momentum. You're creating synergy and momentum, and default creates a down spiral where things are disparate. They're not working together. Maybe they're not enhancing each other. So thinking through what was the design and moving more towards that original intent. Okay. Whew. I get really heated, obviously, around all this. I'm just so excited about it all. So homework. You will receive this homework in your email. It's a fillable PDF, and it's going to go through the 4 ways. And what I want you to do is look at each of the 4 ways and brain dump every idea you've had on each of the 4 ways. And so don't be too concerned about putting them in the right places, right? I mean, we can do that later, cleaning them up and thinking through which bucket they need to be in. But really, the key is just stream of consciousness, brain dump every idea you've had on how to grow your business and trying to get them in those buckets. And don't judge them. Remember, there are no bad ideas in this process. So you're just writing. And I would say take 3 to 5 minutes. It's kind of like, I like to think of it as popcorn, right? So when you're microwaving popcorn, it's slow at first, and then all of a sudden you're like, pop, 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 you get it. And then you start waiting for those, wait, 10, 20 seconds in between pops, and then you're done. So you're gonna have a natural flow. It's gonna be hard to start, and then you're gonna get going. And then when you don't force it, 3 to 5 minutes is probably all you need. So then on this form, after you've brain dumped everything, you're going to go back to each idea and rank them in order of one. This is the filtering part. Rank them in order of 1, 2, 3, and A, B, C. But you're not doing it at the same time. So you're going to go through each bucket and each idea and rank them in terms of 1, 2, 3. And then once you've done it, you're going to go back and rank them in terms of A, B, C. And so 1, 2, 3 is impact on growth. So 1 is the highest impact on growth, 2 moderate, and 3 is low. I cannot give you a good context around what is high impact and what is low impact for the simple fact that I'm not in your business. You're going to have to understand that, right? So, and this is a gut check. This is totally a gut check. I'm not expecting you to pull out your P&L right now and, model this out. This is really gut check, highest impact to lowest impact. And this is the one thing I will tell you, this is not top line. This is bottom line. This is money in the bank at the end of the day, or at the end of the year, or at the end of the quarter, whatever. You get my drift. Next, you're going to do the ABCs. So A is a low barrier to implementation, to C, which is a high barrier. So this is a low barrier would be barriers. Let's go back. Barriers are time, your time, talent, money, energy. So a low barrier would be something that would take very little capital, so very little to no money, and would be something you could implement within the month. And a high barrier would be like a new product line, a critical new hire, a rebrand. Like, so those things that would take a long time, a lot of your energy and time as the owner, maybe a large capital investment. So not that they are not worthwhile, but we just want to be really clear on what it's going to take to get those ideas accomplished. So lastly, what you're going to do after you've sorted all your ideas, you've brain dumped them, and now you've filtered them, you're going to go back on the very last page of your handout and write out all your 1As. And you may not have 1As. You may have 2As and 1Bs. And that's okay. They're still probably pretty impactful. But you're going to rewrite them all out on the last page, and you're going to create the first 3 actions you need to take to implement those ideas. And each of those action items must include a due date and an owner. Really? And an owner. Hush. So due date and owner, really critical. Come here. Come here. Sorry. 2020. Okay. So where do we go from here? This is really cool, right? It's really cool that we now have a way to think through our thoughts and kind of put some really basic gut checks into what would be impactful and easy. But what we do here at Mackie, where we come in with you on this, is we help you think through what that really is going to look like in your everyday, in reality. So this is a very basic, very, very basic example of what we do but why it's important. So can you shift by 10%? That's the question. And granted, we're not recommending that you find a way to shift in all 4 buckets by 10%. You may have one that shifts 50%. You may have one that shifts nothing. So, but this is just for example purposes. So can you shift 10%? So say you have 1,000 clients, they come in 10 times a year and they spend $50 with you every time they come in. You've got a nice $500,000 business and you have that 10% in income that we used in our example. So it takes you $450,000 to service that revenue. And so at the end of the day, you've got $50,000 of profit. Again, not zero, not negative, but after a full year of working your butt off, does it feel equitable? Does it feel worth it? Maybe not. So, but can you shift 10%? 10% isn't a lot, right? So that means that you've got 10% more clients. They come in 10% more often. They spend 10% more per visit, which means that you've increased your revenue by 33%. But then say you can also, while doing all this, decrease your expenses 10%, right? And so these are all little shifts, but at the end of the day, you go from a $50,000 profit to a $260,000 profit. So a 520% increase in your bottom line. That at the end of a year of time, sweat, tears, sleepless nights, verging on, having chemical dependencies potentially, that feels a little more worth it, right? Having that much money to invest in yourself, to invest in your family, to invest in your team, to reinvest in your business. That feels great. I would assume that would make me feel great. So that's what we're going to do. That's what we will offer you. So I'm Sarah Grace. You can connect with me at any of these locations. I'm everywhere, and connect with me, and we will offer to do that walkthrough with you after you've done the sorting and filtering. So that is our gift to you for spending the 45 minutes with us. Oh, I hit it right on the dot. I'm probably going to go a minute over. But that's our gift to you. So if you take the time and do the work to actually think through these 4 ways and do your homework, connect back with me. Again, this is all of my information. Connect back with me, and we'll schedule an activation session for your Grow4Ways and help you walk through the real life implications of all of these great ideas you have. And we can see what your 2021 might look like. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was worthwhile. And I hope that I hear back from you on our goal. I hope that you found one really good idea to help you move your business forward in 2021. And with that, I am going to say goodbye. So have a great day.